Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome back to another edition of NBC's 10 Count. I'm Steve Fall, but on today's edition, I'm with Kimberly. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I clearly am straight out of work, but that's kind of how things go with me. But I'm doing awesome. Just living the dream.
Hey, life sometimes you can't control, but time management is allowing you to be here by you squeezing every inch of the day for me
Yes.
and for the viewers. So I greatly appreciate that. I understand life can be challenging. Life can be challenging indeed. But I think the question people all want to know first is, are you still working with Impact Wrestling?
So I am still contracted with Impact Wrestling. I signed a 3-year deal, so I still have another year to go.
Okay.
So the potential to come back is always there. It was just with the storyline I was in with Sue Young, things kind of came to a close. I've been in talks with Gail about where to go next, and so it's coming. It's not set in stone when, but
Interesting. So now the 3-year contract that you signed, when you're not performing, is your time like paused, or is this the year keeps going as you're not working?
it keeps going. So it does keep going. It has a date on it. So
Okay. Okay. Because I've talked to a few other people. For instance, I talked to Killer Kelly at one point where she was under contract for 2 years but couldn't wrestle because of visa issues. And
mhm.
so, she was kind of stuck like that. I've talked to a few other people with the same situations. I didn't know if your contract would freeze if you weren't performing, but obviously it keeps rolling over. So eventually it could roll over. But you're saying there has been talk between you and Gail Kim, so that's good news. That is definitely good
Yeah.
news.
Mhm.
You brought up the Sue Young storyline, which I absolutely love, because at one point you came into Impact, your own person. You eventually joined up with Yana Perezzo, and did you enjoy being, I guess, a lackey? It seemed like assistant to Gianna versus being your own person.
I really did. I've enjoyed everything I've gotten to do at Impact. Deanna's wonderful. I think we had great chemistry. I liked the interactions that we had together, and it was fun to do. It, I wouldn't even like lackey, whatever you want to call it. I don't think
Assistant. That's why I tried to use the word
yeah,
assistant. I was like, lackey is a bad word.
yeah.
Assistant.
It's just a different way for us to help enhance each other, and I think the time that we were together, it helped both of us. So yeah, I absolutely enjoyed it.
Yeah. And then eventually, though, when that storyline ended, you eventually got consumed by the
Yeah.
demon known as Sue Young, and you got transformed. And were you comfortable with this? Because at one point, again, you are Kimberly, and now you still are technically Kimberly, but you are no longer the same person you were. You're possessed, it seemed, calling Sue Young your mother and doing her bidding. What was that like?
It was definitely a challenge because it was outside of what I usually do. It was a different uh, aspect of myself I had to find, but it was also super fun to be something so different from what
Yeah.
I do regularly. And fun fact, when I was in college, one of the jobs I did to help get myself some extra cash while I was there was I worked in a haunted house. I actually worked at the haunted house that was right behind the ECW arena. I
Oh,
went to college.
wow.
And it's actually that haunted house is how this whole thing started, because I met one of my best friends there who took me to my first indie wrestling show, and then here we are. But working in that haunted house, like I got to pull from that experience and a lot of the stuff I did when I was there, like the twitching movements and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
it was really fun. I had a lot of fun being an undead bridesmaid for sure. Just sometimes it's fun to be something that's so not what you would normally picture yourself doing, and just challenging yourself in that way.
Of course, like I highly doubt when the Undertaker was told to be the Undertaker, he's like, "Well, I'm not really into building caskets on the side, but okay." I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a new aspect to you, and plus that character that you were playing got to be in a Monstrous Ball match, which to honor Daffney, and that to me, that match alone for a lot of reasons, obviously, but that was a huge moment, I think, for just everybody, because
Yeah.
whoever was a fan or even knew Daphne in life, could appreciate her love for wrestling. And then we had that Monsters Ball match, which she was part of back in 2005, 2006. So here we are, flash forward to this present day. You're in that match. What was that like? What was the emotions?
Well, for me, it was huge because Daphne was one of my best friends. I it still kills me that I can't call her. It still I still read the last text message she sent me, which was just a couple days before she left us. This little tattoo here we had matching with Amber Gertner and Amanda Rodriguez are the other two girls who have it. But we were a sisterhood, and we what that tattoo is it's actually a bipolar tattoo because it is something that her and I both struggled with, and I still struggle with, and it I'm open about it because it's something that should be talked about. I'm very, very for being open about your mental health and being open about being saying like I need to take a break, I need to step back. And that's a lot of the reason why I haven't been doing as much as I have in the past too, is because I needed a break. There's a lot of crap has happened to me in the last couple of years, and that's okay. And I'm doing okay now. But at a certain point, I wasn't. And I just needed to take the time to get myself back on track. And anyway, I'm starting to kind of divert a little bit. But with that Monsters Ball match and Daphne being somebody who I was so close with and losing my sister and Impact knowing that and giving me the opportunity to be in that match to honor her. And they even let me carry the crowbar out, which was her weapon. That match will mean a lot to me for so many reasons for the rest of my life, and I miss her every day. I'm gonna cry because like I really, I understand that she's not in pain anymore. She's not suffering. She
Hmm.
just couldn't take it. Um, and as mad as I've been, like I've gone from sad to mad to like there's just so many emotions I go through thinking about Daff. But she still sends, like, whatever you believe, I think she sends me little signs all the time. I still talk to her. I, she's come to see me in dreams, and like that match means a lot to me, and it always will because that's my sister, and it's a struggle going through life without her, but I know she's still watching over all of us, and she's in a better place.
Of course. No, thank you for sharing your feelings and story, because I don't think anyone actually knew that aspect of the sisterhood that you developed with her, because a lot of people probably don't know everything about, wrestling or you or storylines. It wasn't a storyline that night. That was about honoring someone's life, and you went out there and kicked ass and had a great match. With weapons involved, of course there's going to be moments of should I be hitting someone with a crowbar, and you think, well, yes I will, and I'll enjoy it. Though you mentioned your friend bringing you to an indie show, so that was your first ever experience going to a wrestling event, an indie show?
Yes, it actually was. So I always loved wrestling when I was a kid, but I wasn't allowed to watch it. My mom was
Oh,
like,
were you
"You are not
secretly?
watching this crap." It was the Attitude Era. I was her
Oh
first
yeah.
kid. I was very sheltered. Like, wasn't allowed to watch rated R movies until I was 17. Like, she held to that.
Wow.
I watched a few without her
Oh, don't push,
knowing.
don't push.
Same with wrestling.
Oh,
She knows now. We've been over
you've
this.
told you've told her, you've
Yes,
exposed.
I'm 32 now. My mom knows all that stuff. But, it's it. So I would go over to friends' houses and sneak wrestling when I could,
Ooh.
but had no idea the indies existed. Like all I knew was WWF. I didn't even like realize there was a letter change. Like that's how much I had no idea until I started working in this haunted house. And then I made one of my best friends. I still talk to her. Her name is Melissa. And she was like, "You want to go to a wrestling show with me?" And I was like, "Oh, like WWF?" And she's like, "No, girl, so different." I think it was a CZW show, in fact.
Wow.
So way different.
Yeah.
Um, but I went to that show, ended up meeting my trainer Drew Gulak, and just being like, I could do this. This could be fun. I grew up a performer. I grew up in dance. I have a degree in dance education. So being in front of people was never an issue for me. Learning movements was never an issue for me. And there was just something about like combining like the fight aspect with the performing aspect that just really intrigued me. And I ended up going to training and never looked back. And now we're 13, almost 14 years later. So
Wow. So sorry, Mom. She snuck off, but she's done well for herself. Okay, sorry, Mom, but at least
my mom loves it now. She, I think, knows more about my career than I do
wow.
because she reads about everything.
Yeah.
Um, excuse me, but it was quite a shift because when she first found out I was training and I was excuse me, I was in college for dance at the time at the University of the Arts in Philly. And she was pissed that I started training. But then when she started to see me get like, oh, you're going to Japan, oh, you're going to Europe, like she started to realize like there's something to this.
Yeah.
And then she ended up coming to, I believe it was a Shine show with me in Florida. And when she went to that show and met some of the other girls and kind of saw the sisterhood that it is, that's when she really made the okay, this is your thing. And now she's fully supportive. My whole family is, and it's totally done a 180. So
Oh, good. They're not going to see you, giving people stone cold stunners, flipping people off, saying "suck it." So I think once they saw that what they saw on TV wasn't exactly what you were doing, maybe they were comfortable with that.
yeah,
Maybe.
well, and I mean now she doesn't. My mom would probably flip you off if you said something
Ah,
to me.
I hope not. I hope not. God, that sounds scary. I don't want my mom to flip me off. My mom's around. I don't want. I'd be afraid of my mom flip me off, but someone else's mom would even freak me out even more. Though, let's move on to something that negative aspects of Twitter seem to follow you. I don't know why, but it seems to be. And every time you write something, I don't know, personal, it becomes a problem, which it doesn't make sense. It's not really a problem. It's that some people don't like your thoughts on certain subjects of your life, and they look at it as going, oh, you're trying to tear people down, but you're just trying to share your story. How do you feel when you keep seeing these negative comments or negative articles written about you?
I mean, for the most part, I don't read it. Like,
Okay.
write whatever you want. I'm not gonna read the negative stuff. And if you say it to me and tag me in it, I'm gonna block you or mute you or whatever. It doesn't need to be a part of my life. Here's the thing. Um, a lot of it is following me right now because it's people who have no idea what the situation is,
Hmm.
and and that's okay. But you don't. A lot of people don't realize that they don't need to speak on things that they don't know. And the reason I share so much is because if my story can help somebody not get abused the way I was, not get manipulated the way I was, then it's worth it. It's worth all the hate that I have to get put through if I can help one person. And that's why I'm so open about it. I'm not a perfect person. Was I perfect in the situation that most of this is spanning from? Absolutely not. I am open about the fact that I have a problem with alcohol. I've posted the fact that I relapsed and had to go back to AA. And I'm currently working on 2 months sober again. And that's great. And I'm open about it. And I have no problem talking about that because all of us are human at the end of the day. And we all have our own issues that we have to deal with. Was I dealing with some of my addictions while I was in the relationship that I was in? And did it affect my marriage? Yeah, absolutely. But was I also being cheated on for a long time and dealing with that? Yeah, there's a lot of things. Neither one of us were perfect in that situation. Both of us did awful things to each other. Unfortunately, there was physical abuse involved, and getting away from that is difficult. And I did, and people don't want to believe me, and that sucks. But they weren't there, and that's the end of the story. You weren't there. You don't know what legal matters are happening right now. And I'm just fortunate that I survived. I'm fortunate that I got out before it got worse. And did I post in anger when everything first happened? I did. And I for people to say that they wouldn't react the same way as bullshit,
Yeah.
excuse my French. And the whole situation sucked, but at this point, a year removed from when my whole world came crashing down, I can say that it happened for the best. Life has a way of taking taking you down paths that you need to go down for lessons that you need to learn. And I fully believe that my higher power, as I see him, is the reason these things happened. And now I have the potential to prosper and truly be my own person, not feel like I have to take care of anybody or that I need somebody in my life to take care of me. And I've never felt that way before. Is my situation right now a lot more difficult than it was? Absolutely. But am I a lot happier than I was? Also, absolutely. And it's been a rough journey. I hope people can realize that words do hurt, words do sting. We've lost a lot of people to suicide because of bullies on the internet. And it sucks. And like people need to realize what you say. If I wasn't stronger than I am right now, there are points in my life where you would have said that to me and I would be gone. There were points in this last year where I didn't want to be here anymore. I wanted to go. And by the grace of God, I'm not gone. I am still here. And all I want to do is keep other people around, keep people to know, uh, help people to realize that they're not alone, that there's a lot of us that have been through this, and that a lot of it's just a facade. It's an internet illusion of how happy we are. And there's a lot of dark under all those layers. And I kind of want to peel that curtain back and show that I'm human. And that's what I do. And some people don't like it and they say negative things, and it sucks. And hopefully the people that do say the negative things can think about it a little more and think about how they affect people and how depression works. And hopefully they can think before they speak the next time, and that realistically could save somebody's life. So
I just want to say thank you so much for sharing, because people think that just writing a simple sentence that they think is funny to you is not funny to you. It is a very serious matter that is involving your marriage, your career, your life. Um, Tragedy is following you right now, unfortunately, and I think people posting funny little, they're not funny at all. They think it's funny, little one-liners at you is not the way to go. And guess what? None of us, besides you and your partner, were involved with the situation. So you know the details. You know what happened behind closed doors. So guess what? Everybody else sharing their thoughts, they probably shouldn't be.
mhm.
And that's unfortunate in this world where behind a keyboard, I can write anything I want and not have repercussions. And some people have, names that's like, like my real name is Steve Fall. My Twitter account is Steve Fall. That is me. This is who I am. Versus somebody who's like, my name is, JJ Smith Walker 27567, and they write a terrible thing to you, and yet they don't seem to care about the repercussions. Clearly, we're seeing the repercussions as we're talking right now, that it is affecting you, unfortunately, and that's just not fair. And whatever side anyone wants to be on in your situation, they're not in your situation. So
No.
they don't know the details. They don't know what happened, what didn't happen. All they know is, oh, she hurt my favorite wrestler. Who cares? That's a TV show. This is real life.
Mhm.
It's completely
And
different.
and in real life, he did some terrible things. I'm not going to sit here and say I was perfect either. I was probably a very difficult person to live with for a long time, and I get that. And it is what it is. All I can do is move forward. I can't. All I can do is move forward. All I can do is better myself. All I can do is stay sober, and that's my plan, and that's what I'm doing. So
Well, like I said, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing that part of your life and your story, because that, I think, is, you had to share a lot there. But I think what you just said, what I take away from that more than anything is if you can help one person then you've done your job by sharing your story. And so, unfortunately, you have to show all your cards to share your story to help someone. And maybe you have that you don't even know about. You have no idea what your words have done to someone or have helped someone. Maybe they've reached out, maybe they haven't reached out, but we don't know. We don't know what your words are doing for someone. So hopefully what you're saying right now, sharing your story, sharing what happened, will help someone else in the same situation that's afraid to get out. So I just want to say thank you for sharing that part of your life. Uh, let's move on though, because I do want to talk about the time that you were in the Mae Young Classic, because you destroyed a few different people. Jazzy, Rachel Evers. Like, you didn't just go in the first round and lose. You went to like the semifinals and destroyed some
Top
people.
8.
Some big people too, and you were signed to the WWE for like 2 years. To me, it's just shocking because Mae Young Classic, so many people come out of that and eventually get signed. You were already signed in that tournament, and then you continued on. So, what was that aspect like? How, like, what did you know? Did you hear rumblings about this women's tournament they wanted to have, and did you like immediately put your hat in, like, I need to be in this?
They were definitely talking about it when I was there. It was um it was definitely, it was in the works once I was signed. And it was definitely something I wanted to be a part of. Because even for the fact that Drew Gulak is my trainer and he was in the first cruiserweight, so I was like, well, I want to be in the first women's tournament. Like, this is
Yeah.
awesome. And fun fact, if that first shot that they do for the tournament where they come up the ramp and we were standing along the sides, not like completely by chance, I was in the same exact spot that Drew was in when they did that. And like, I didn't realize it until later that we had by happenstance been put in the same spot. So that was cool. But just getting to be a part of something so huge and so instrumental for women's wrestling and pushing us forward, as even more so as we're women are good. Like, there are some really good women's wrestlers out
Yes.
there, and the women can do just as much as the men can, if not more. And it was one of the things where we were finally starting to show that. And I feel like the Mae Young Classic was also a good melting pot of all different types of bodies and looks, and like just a bunch of different women, as opposed to this cookie cutter that in wrestling we were shoved into for so long. I will say, I like with WWE going back to more of a PG-13. I'm honestly a little nervous of what that's going to do for women, because the little bit I catch here and there, I work like 60 hours a week. So
Hey, time
God
management. You're
help
you're
me when
doing this for me right now in your car, so I appreciate that.
yep, you get the no makeup Kim. Here it is. I'm sure I'll get some ugly comment about that too, but it's
Oh,
fine.
that's not fair.
But the just I'm nervous. I'm nervous that it's going to sexualize women again, because that's kind of where PG-13 tends to go. Oh, we can get the boobs out, like, but I hope it doesn't. I truly do. I think it stands a better chance being in Hunter's hands. But I'm curious to see where it goes. For the glimpses I catch, I'll be perfectly honest. My wrestling is usually just seeing what happened on Twitter real quick, and then I'm going to bed because I got to wake up at 4:45.
Yes, hey,
So,
no judgment over here. All right, I understand. I completely understand. But yeah, I haven't seen if I haven't seen anybody so far pull that off yet, where we're going to go backwards with the women. It seems that more prominent characters like Becky Lynch or Bianca Belair are holding their ground as character-driven
I
storylines and athletic um, characters as well. Versus, I grew up on Sable. I grew up on Sunny. They they were different, and
Mhm.
they helped bring in an audience that wasn't going to be interested in wrestling. And was that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know.
Mhm.
Sometimes there's good stereotypes and there's bad stereotypes, and those were two of them. But as we moved on, obviously past the Divas division, and even the knockouts are unbelievable. I've never heard a bad word about the knockouts. Like, and no matter what anyone says about Impact Wrestling, no matter what anyone says ever, 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 there is never a comment that says, those knockouts aren't that good. No, I have never heard that once. From the inception with Gail Kim and Awesome Kong, the 10 women battle royal to determine the first ever knockouts champion with ODB and beautiful people. Like, there's nobody I think I've heard say knockouts are bad. So,
Mhm. And I'm not even saying there's not, like, I love the diva-esque women too. Like, there is absolutely a purpose for them, and they're a different flavor of ice cream, and like, we're all different little flavors, and they may look like divas, but they can go, like, they can
yeah.
go, like, it's crazy. Like, the beautiful people are some of, like, they're were some of my favorites back in the day, and it's I just want to see it, like, stay where all it's still like our talent matters too, not
Yes.
just our looks. Looks are cool, looks are great. Even men have a look standard that they have to adhere to. It's the nature of the business. But I like the fact that things have opened up to more looks being accepted as opposed to just this one little narrow pathway, is I guess what I'm trying to
Yeah,
say.
no, I agree with you. People, for the Divas division, Melina, Maurice, Michelle McCool, killed it. They were amazing in the ring, outstanding in the ring. I'll never disparage their name whatsoever because they'll probably beat the crap out of me if I ever did, anyways. But I would never
No,
do that. I would never do
French
that.
absolutely would.
Michelle McCool is married to the Undertaker. She's keeping him in line. Okay, she's keeping him in line, and
Oh,
that
I
to
believe
me,
it.
oh, I believe it too. That's enough. But again, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your story today because I think everything you said today with full confidence, you had tears came out of your face, but at least you shared your story because again, if you can save one life, then you've done your job today. I really appreciate you sharing your story with me. I really do. Honestly, um, I didn't know what you would say, and I'm very happy what you said came out of your mouth because you never know what you can say with the power of your voice. So
Mhm.
thank you, Kimberly, for being here. Before we even wrap it up, Kimberly, where that name came from? Where that come from?
So, my name is Kimberly.
Yes.
But how I got that name was it was time for me to debut at CZW, and Sammy Callahan, who is also one of my original people I trained with. Drew Gulak is the one I always say he's my original trainer because he did the most with me, took me under his wing. But at the time when I was there, it was Drew, Sammy, John Moxley, uh, Black G's, um, and those were kind of the four or five main people that would work with us. And so it was time for me to debut. And Sammy Callahan goes, "Your name is going to be Kimber Lee." There it is.
So you're best friends with Just Incredible.
I guess so.
Kimberly, thank you so much for being here on NBC's Count Count. I'm Steve Fall. She's Kimberly. Have a wonderful night, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.